It was the hottest girl in the whole school. Yet, our boy decides to focus on more important things, rather than a mere breakup. With his goal being to reach the peak of martial arts, the hero wants to grab every opportunity that comes his way. There are a bunch of events making headlines worth discussing, but the highlight of the day is our boy, Fang Yi, getting dumped by his goddess-like girlfriend, Xu Qingli, also known as Lily. The haters can't stop hating, going around spewing out how the protagonist never even deserved her in the first place. Lily, a high-achieving student termed as the school flower, was in a relationship with the previously loser MC. Lily stands in the middle of a crowd, facing Fang Yi, trying to convey that she has thought about their relationship practically, and she doesn't find him to be the right fit for her after the honeymoon phase has faded away. The main reason behind the breakup is the difference in their status, considering herself better than him in every aspect. Hearing her, he stays silent, knowing he's never getting back with her. That silence makes everyone think that maybe he is going through a psychosis. But the real shock comes when he shows he doesn't care much, leaving everyone baffled. He begins to walk away from the situation, but his coldness hurts Lily's ego. She angrily makes it clear that she would never get back with him, no matter what he tries. He turns back and coldly replies that she shouldn't flatter her ego by thinking she's too important to him. Walking away, he's thinking that these people have not a single clue that a great crisis is about to arrive. The reality is, our boy is not someone from this era, but from the future, who has been reincarnated in this timeline. This is why the breakup with the school flower didn't hurt him, as he never really remembered her to begin with. He doesn't care what people say about him, because soon everything will go back to normal. The actual story began the night before. It is revealed to him that the spiritual energy revival will begin in almost a year. Once that takes place, the world will go through the most unpredictable changes. This age will also bring about the rise of spiritual practitioners, and everyone will be judged by their power. A ball of light appears before him, and he wonders what it is as he sticks his hand inside it. The panel indicates that the system originates from the end of the universe, using a supreme algorithm that contains cosmic secrets. It also automatically generates spiritual techniques based on the spiritual beings that the user touches. His current number of owned techniques is 0. As soon as he sticks his hand inside the panel, a monster emerges, and he meets his death. It turns out this was his former fate as an ordinary human. Even though he somehow managed to survive the catastrophic events, he still witnessed how his town was wiped away. In the end, he died as well, clinging to the hope of revenge. Now, he feels as though he was chosen by the system to have another chance at life. So now, he will use this year to turn his fate around before the tragedy arrives. The panel informs him that the user has been bound to the system, and that a new path has opened. In this world, he knows he can use anything to build system techniques, so he decides to choose the best of everything and become an invincible practitioner. On the other hand, it is announced that humanity is about to face grave danger, and that everyone is on their own. The authorities have been honest with the people, telling them to protect themselves because there will be no backup for anyone. Previously, news like this would never have been allowed to air, but this time it's different. Through this calm method, Xi country has made its people aware and ready for what's coming. Even if it is exhausting, it is still better than chaos spreading among the nations, causing everyone to go berserk and loot everything in order to survive. The MC looks at his phone, knowing that if something strange happens, he has to be there to seize anything that might help him build an ability. Suddenly, a notification about high heat waves pops up on his phone from Qingxing University, which seems fake at first to everyone else. But he knows that whenever a weird phenomenon occurs, people convince themselves it's just a media stunt and laugh it off as a joke. However, this could be the very opportunity for our protagonist. Fang Yi makes his way to the university, where something feels awfully wrong, and he's sweating heavily. He notices that there are orbs scattered on the ground. Kneeling down, he touches one, and a notification panel appears, detecting a severe solar energy disturbance. Picking up the signal, suddenly his body begins to transform, and he can't understand what change he's undergoing, as it feels like he could collapse at any moment. Everyone is gawking at him, and after a while, the formation is complete, and he gains the ability of the Golden Sun breathing technique. The enrollment day had arrived at Qingcheng University, and our protagonist's ex-girlfriend was seen carrying her bag along with other students. Her charm made every guy act like a hungry dog gawking at a bone. Some offered to carry her bag for her, some offered their contact number. Denying politely, she didn't seem to care much, as she was already used to receiving that kind of attention. Lily then overheard a conversation between two lovebirds who were just happy that they will get to see each other more often, and felt cringed out. Suddenly, there was an announcement of a heat wave at the north gate, and students were advised not to approach it. Out of curiosity, Lily couldn't help but think about all the strange events happening, so she decided to check it out herself. Meanwhile, our boy had just gone through a crazy transformation, and now his body could absorb the heat of the sun to strengthen itself just by staring at the sun. Let's just hope he doesn't go blind. His panel indicated that he had gained some writing points, so he assumed it was something good and didn't give it much thought. Suddenly the sky went dark, and the students felt the air grow chilly. Noticing a crowd at the north gate, everyone made their way there despite the announcement. A guy in brown attire told everyone to check in quickly, or they'd lose their writing points. On the side, a cloaked figure, who appeared to be their boss, ordered the north gate area to be sealed shut. On the other hand, Zia Country had designated a contamination zone where spirit return energy could emerge. Attention was diverted to the announcement, where the military ordered the north gate to be completely sealed, which sounds really serious now. Our boy realized that he shouldn't be there and ran off right away. Meanwhile, the cloaked figure observed the situation and cracked the code that someone had already started resonating with solar energy. Lily couldn't help but wonder if this terrifying event was man-made. A strange shadow caught her attention, and it seemed to her that it was her ex-boyfriend, but she brushed off the thought, knowing how mediocre he had always been, and he could never make his way into the prestigious Qingcheng University. Later, at Fang Yi's house, he felt restless as the heat wouldn't leave his body no matter what he did, whether it was icy showers or air conditioning. He sat up, wondering if today's commotion could expose him. He decides to check his phone, and a notification pops up on his phone about the Spirit Energy Practitioners Association. He had known about it before, but everyone used to think it was just some delusional person mixing spirit revival fantasy elements into the real world. That made him wonder if the person he had seen earlier at the university could have been one of them. Then, he opened the practitioner rank details, and reading through it made it sound a little schizophrenic. But since it had the watermark of the association, it showed that it was genuine and released by the Zia Country government. In his previous life, he hadn't even heard of it. He was just some ordinary person who had no access to these things. The only real challenge back then was survival, which of course was something an ordinary person couldn't do. Our boy came to the conclusion that it was a hint from the government itself to those who had awakened spiritual energy. So he sits up and one by one he begins following the instructions. He started with breathing exercises to regulate the solar energy, and he had to strengthen his body to absorb the energy of heaven and earth. After a bit of practice and focusing on shaping the form of the divine axe, the system informed him that he had reached the rank of ghost axe. A notification popped up on the panel saying he could forcibly embed the data he had into whatever he wanted. He still couldn't grasp the concept of writing points, but decided to give it a try. Feng Yi lifted his hand and pointed at a cup, and the system asked him if he wanted to embed the sun attribute into it. He realized that forced embedding meant granting an object magical properties, and if he selects the option yes, the cup would be embedded with his energy. That made him wonder, if he embedded his energy into a weapon, would it become his personal weapon? Our protagonist decided to collect data points for multiple attributes, thinking it would be important in the future to have a weapon crafted with supernatural powers. He looked at the pointy sword in his room and made up his mind to start practicing right away with it. If it worked out, he would aim for a better weapon next time. Knowing mutated beasts were coming, he needed to take every precaution. Later that night, a mutated rabbit with glowing red eyes peered into his room, its intentions far from friendly. Feeling a little uneasy, our protagonist wakes up in the middle of the night. He hears some squeaking in his apartment, like that of a mouse, and wonders where it came from. But after checking the whole apartment, he doesn't find anything. He wonders if it's the sound of a pet from another apartment that happens to sound like a rat. Since he has entered the ghost axe, his sense of hearing has become sharper than that of a regular person. So, it would be quite normal if he ended up hearing noises from his neighbor's home. Hopefully the neighbors keep the voices down now. Suddenly he hears a voice from the corridor outside his apartment and decides to check it. When he opens the gate, he finds something straight out of a horror movie. A mutated rabbit. Chills run down his spine as the memories of his past life still haunt him. On the other hand, a cloaked girl stands on top of a building. She remarks that the rabbit who swallowed the dark spirit fruit is still on the loose and is incredibly fast. Licking a lollipop, she asks to be kept updated on any developments. Then, she begins to run down the building, noticing the aura of the beast. She picks up a trace of the dark energy, which indicates that the beast has entered the residential area. Warning everyone, the cloaked girl tells them to beware of the beast that swallowed the dark spirit fruit, because its transformation has not yet been completed. Then, she follows the trail towards the dark energy, and jumps from building to building, and a bystander wonders if he is witnessing some kind of hallucination, as the building is 60 floors high. Back to our boy, he is trying to battle the mutated rabbit. Still, he can dodge many of the beast's attacks thanks to his transformation. He can now see movement slowly and precisely, and his muscles are coordinating well too. But he can't wrap his mind around the fact that mutated beasts have started appearing so soon. Our protagonist realizes that the rabbit has not completed its transformation yet. The rabbit must be stopped because the dark energy is flowing continuously into it. Otherwise, every resident of the building would become the rabbit's dinner. With that thought, our hero begins to attack the mutated beast and soon realizes that the rabbit's weak point is its tail. Fang Yi forms a fist and punches the mutated rabbit with such force that it literally blows a hole through its body. The power of the sun is so fierce that the rabbit decides to self-destruct, rather than face the majestic power of the yang energy. There's a loud rumble, making one of the residents think that it's thunder, but when he looks outside the window, there's nothing. Meanwhile, our main lead thinks about how the creature looked like it was starving to death, like it wanted to devour the energy inside his body. After the destruction is complete, only an eyeball of the rabbit remains. When Fang Yi sees it, he crushes it under his feet. He thinks to himself that the beast possessed the darkness element, but it still attacked wildly, even though the yang element suppresses and counteracts it. That shows just how starving the beast was. The protagonist realizes that the mutation has begun, and if he were still a regular human, everyone in the building would have been devoured by the beast. To counter these attacks, he knows he needs to collect more spirit energy techniques. On the other hand, the cloaked girl finally arrives. What surprises her is that the beast is already dead and its corpse shredded into pieces. She begins gathering the remaining dark elemental energy. As she absorbs it, she feels an intense heat radiating from it. The last time she felt such high-level yang energy was at the northern gate of Chingcheng University. She thinks to herself that this can't be a coincidence. After that, she informs headquarters that the rabbit is dead, but she makes it clear that she was the one who killed it, and that a new pioneer has appeared, someone with a high-level affinity. The man at headquarters can't believe that the same person who killed the mutated rabbit is also the one who purified the polluted zone at the northern gate of Chingcheng University. It's even more surprising that he is only at the first stage of the ghost axe, yet his element is extremely pure. The archives are checked, and it turns out that the person who slew the rabbit is not working with them. They need to contact him as soon as possible. The girl agrees, and she is ordered to postpone the rest of her missions and track him down. She is also told to persuade him into joining the Spirit Energy Association. Pulling out another lollipop, she agrees, though she desperately craves a cup of tea as she wonders who this mysterious person could be. She realizes that this person must be a true expert, and now it is her mission to meet him no matter what. Our hero wakes up in the morning with his whole day planned. While dressing himself, he realizes that waking up early is better for his cultivation. With that said, he starts operating the golden sun breathing technique. As the energy flows into him, he thinks that by stepping into the ghost axe realm, he can feel the aura of the technique manifesting when he operates the golden sun breathing technique, like threads circling the divine axe. While manifesting, he suddenly notices another breakthrough, and an axe appears before him which feels lighter than yesterday when he holds it. He understands that cultivation just needs persistence, and everything aligns with that. Tightly, he holds the axe and swings it forcefully downward, unlocking the Ghost Axe Realm 2-star. His eyes glow and he feels his body becoming tougher. He knows that his progress is fast, but he hasn't used the residual energy stored when he broke through to 1-star. He decides to level up steadily now. The only problem is that everything is too flashy, and he needs to find a place where he can maintain silence. Off to the side, there are some goods that just arrived at his place. In the association office, they detect some solar energy fluctuations, and it's our boy again. Meanwhile, the hero makes his way to a forest and uses his points to implant yang attributes into his new sword. He had tried using a figurine prop as a weapon, but even though the coding succeeded, the prop could not handle the yang attribute power. This time it's different, as he feels it in the blade. His body shares the same, and they both resonate at the same frequency. The panel indicates that his coding was successful, and he decides to test out the power of his new weapon. As soon as he slashes the sword, an incredible amount of energy emerges from it, enough to start a wildfire. With all the flashiness, he is very sure that he has been noticed now, and he decides to run away. On the other hand, the cloaked girl curses herself as she runs toward the smoke that our boy's actions created. She had just left for a couple of minutes and missed the whole thing. Then, suddenly she notices a hot spring and wonders what the Buddha even did. She has no idea how she can restore it, and is pretty sure that she is going to get scolded hard by the cleanup department, hating how nothing has come out of the appearance of this mysterious guy. Her eyes fall on a rock with a cross mark, and she can't believe her eyes, that the MC has already upgraded to 2-star. She also notices a strong energy mix in a spirit weapon. Spirit weapons are weapons infused with attributes, giving normal weapons extraordinary power. Still extremely rare, the association only has 2 of them. She wonders how he even has one all to himself. Sipping on her milk tea, she assures herself that it might be a mistake on her part, and decides to clean up. On the other hand, our boy is wondering if his weapon is limited to the yang attribute, because the system did say that he can code many different techniques. This leads to his second question: can he also implant other attributes into this weapon? Then, Fang Yi checks his phone and sees all the pioneers talking to each other. They all talk about being in the Ghost Axe realm, which surprises him, since even the military recruits are only in the Ghost Axe realm. Then he gets another notification of a new pollution zone and asks for the location. The location is the Dark River Molten Dragon, which was formed by tectonic figures, and due to world mutation, the water turned into molten lava, making the area extremely hot. The opportunity could be beneficial to him, so he looks forward to visiting that place. In Binmu district, there are some people waiting to enter. One of them thanked a girl named Xiaoya for the guide she made, because it helped them reach the location. Still, she is disappointed because there aren't any standout pioneers, and she was looking forward to finding someone extraordinary. She is from the Ministry of Culture staff, from the Spiritual Energy Cultivation Association. Most pioneers don't even know that the Spiritual Energy Cultivation Association is an agency owned by the government, and becoming a formal member is quite tough. It took Xiaoya ages to get through it. She is worried that if she isn't able to find anything, she will be forced to work overtime again, but suddenly our boy appears. As soon as she looks at him, she is surprised that he has 2-star strength while being so young. His aura has no oppressive pressure and gives off a cozy vibe. Anyhow, they start moving inside. Our boy leads the way while she takes care of the light. They are surprised to find it strange that it's not as hot as they expected here. Meanwhile, Fang thinks to himself that he was the last one to arrive, yet they have accepted him, and he wonders if it's natural friendliness, or just trying to find reliable teammates. The trust issues are completely natural, since the times are chaotic. After a bit of walking, they reach their destination, the lava. As soon as Fang sees it, he runs to jump into it, and his teammates try to stop him. But he jumps right in, his system detecting a world anomaly and beginning to activate ultimate computing power. The panel displays the inner flame, which has a high internal temperature, along with explosive properties, and could bring about great destruction. Also, the Scarlet Flame sword technique must be used with a drawn blade to unleash its true power, and each slash sends out blazing fire along with lightning. Moreover, when the sword gathers flames and has the intention of battling, it releases an incredible amount of energy. Our boy holds the sword and is glad that it complements his Tang Dao. He orders his system to consume his writing points and implants the internal flame attribute into the Tang Dao. A surge of energy surrounds him while his teammates are surprised that he is okay after quite literally jumping in the lava. His weapon is also absorbing the power of the lava, which his teammates notice. The teammates talk among themselves, thinking it was probably a minor cultivation accident that happened with him, and decide they should cultivate since the spiritual energy here has stabilized due to our boy. They celebrate how smoothly they can absorb it now. Meanwhile, Xiaoya nervously smiles and assures them that she is just there to collect some data, and will gladly keep an eye on the surroundings while they cultivate. Later, she observes that some other trailblazers have arrived, who kind of look like they could cause a problem. These newcomers are extremely rude and try to kick them out by force. She realizes they are pretty strong compared to her group, so she doesn't want to provoke them because they surely can't take them down. She tries to negotiate, explaining that they were already there absorbing spiritual energy long before, and proposes that they share the place, cultivating together. The man with the eye patch screams that they are not on the same rank and need to get out. Xiaoya knows that during the barbaric growth period, weak trailblazers don't get to survive, but their country doesn't allow a situation like that. So, as a member of the association, she thinks of doing something. Then, the protagonist approaches the man with the eye patch with his blazing fire sword. He swishes it, then thrusts it into the ground with great force. Seeing that, the villains retreat in an instant, fearfully screaming. Suddenly, the place starts to rumble, and even the MC's teammates wonder what just happened. Meanwhile, Fang thinks to himself that trying to negotiate with these evil people cannot work, because they would still take what they want with force. Then he pulls out his sword and points it at them with fury, threatening them to get out. The bad guy shivers and wonders what kind of monster the MC is, feeling his incredible aura, then instantly runs away with his mates. Left behind are the MC and his team, who praise him while he blushes a little. Then he suggests leaving if everyone has cultivated enough. As they walk out, Xiao can't help but think that if that strike had landed, there would be some unidentifiable corpses here, acknowledging his high level of talent. Now, she wants to report it to the organization. She calls the organization, and they tell her to keep an eye on his progress, thinking this is probably some other guy. When the call ends, the head of the organization doesn't think of it as good news. Those with high attributes are of noble status, and are soon to be the center of power in the future, which could be troublesome for them, making resignation sound like a good option. On the other hand, our boy is walking through town, and the people around assume that he is cosplaying. But it is a trick he plays to disguise himself so nobody notices him. He checks his phone and finds that everyone has noticed him. He blames himself for being careless because such powers can easily attract attention, and he wasn't mindful of it. He hopes it isn't Xiaoya and Lao Li who revealed his characteristics. Realizing he has absorbed so much Yang attribute spiritual energy, he feels like he could achieve another breakthrough if he tries the golden sun breathing technique again. Then he decides to make his way back to the mountain. A few minutes later, Su Qingying is working when the MC is in the mountains. Suddenly, she notices a blazing fire and her jaw drops, wondering who is about to break through to the rank of Ghost Axe 3-star, causing such a commotion. She decides to run there and check quickly, suspecting it could be that same guy, and if it is, she needs to catch him. In the mountains, the protagonist is cultivating his energy when another axe appears before him. Su Gingying reaches the mountains and notices that he is trying to swing the divine axe. She is in awe, wondering how he can control spiritual energy with such stability and precision. That only makes her think that he might have been training for hundreds of years without informing anyone. Flashing back to a memory of her own, Su Qingying remembers that she once failed while breaking through the Ghost Axe 2-star level because the pressure was too intense and bounced back at her. She ended up coughing blood and was sick for an entire week. The only question in her mind is how she, with such a strong physique, could fail. Yet suddenly this insane monster-like person just shows up one day. Running toward the mountains, she senses the spiritual energy, which has an amazing grip, and every move of it seems as if it has been purified on and on. To her, it is not even monstrous, but as though a god has descended from the heavens. Furthermore, Su Jingying is impressed that he doesn't rush, but instead moves steadily with a strong mentality without any greed for power, just like the masters of old times did. Suddenly, she notices that the divine axe is moving in the eastern direction. On the other hand, the MC is glowing as if he has swallowed the sun itself. The notification bar pops up indicating a breakthrough. Meanwhile, Su Jingying reaches the mountains, only to find out that she missed him once again, by just 30 seconds. She is sure that he has realized he is being tracked by her, which would make it nearly impossible to follow him like that. But something strikes her mind. She speaks out, as if talking to someone. "I'm assuming you haven't left." The MC looks at her in shock, realizing that she is the one who has been running an investigation over him for a couple of days. When she looks at him, Su Qingying introduces herself as the captain of the Firefly Squad under the Spiritual Practitioners Association and invites him on behalf of the association. She explains that she has been following his steps for the past 2 days, only in the hope that he might accept the invitation and join them. She also apologizes if she has given them a bad impression. Then she tells him that the official documents for him have already been made, though they haven't been made public yet. Even though she sounds confident, Su Qingying is still scared of offending him and carefully nitpicks her words. The protagonist breaks the silence and asks why. She thinks she should tell him the truth, but she is sure that if she lies, he isn't the kind to be fooled so easily. So she answers that the organization wants to unite the early pioneers so they can follow a well-made path while also receiving extra protection. She adds that everyone is in chaos and that joining an association might seem like a restriction at first, but they all have to face the resurgence of spiritual energy and confront the beasts that are about to approach. But Fang doesn't choose to trust her yet and wonders what would happen if he says no. While sweating, she pulls out a card from her pocket and introduces herself as an athlete before reviving her spiritual energy. She shows him her ID and pleads with him to believe her, even if he hasn't heard of her before. The protagonist remembers her, as he always expected those with superior physical abilities to become pioneers more easily. What he knows from his previous life is that the nation failed to achieve its goal and humanity went extinct. But now that he has returned with the system, he wants to take part in the game, just not yet. Finally, he breaks the ice and affirms that he does remember her, so he will surely think about it, and decides to leave. He also asks her to keep his location private from others. From her behavior, he realizes that the association doesn't want to anger pioneers like him right now, which he can be used to his privilege. Before he leaves, she also says that the association has noticed the visible changes after his breakthrough, so she has to file a report based on half-truths and half-lies, and she wants him to give his opinion on that. He agrees with the idea, but before she can say anything else, he vanishes. Su Gingying gets mad, talking into her device, saying that she still hasn't caught him and now he's trying to avoid her, forcing her to spend so much time erasing his traces. The person on the phone tells her to stop overthinking and for once, feel better about the mission. She then gets informed of the reappearance of anomalous entities, which shakes her. Su Jingying could never forget those damned creatures, bloodthirsty and berserk. They absorb energy from the pollution zones and turn into monsters that devour humans. Meanwhile, some disguise themselves as unnatural disasters, which create new pollution zones. Their elimination is necessary, or else they will bring terrifying destruction and the end of humanity. Later at night, it rains with an insane thunderstorm. The citizens are advised to stay indoors unless it's absolutely necessary to go outside. Another notice has been issued. The Yuhuang Mountain tourist area has a high risk of flooding and has been closed to the public. This storm is different from those of past decades, and everyone wonders what kind of supreme power is undergoing a lightning trial. The MC is out in the rain, impressed by the concentration of lightning energy as he walks through it. He knows, however, that the center of the storm lies somewhere in Yuhuang Mountain. He leaps and runs, quickly reaching the place. A panel pops up before him, informing him of the mountain's features, though its pollution level is unknown. Yet, confident and brave, he walks straight into the blazing storm. Due to the thunderstorms, the danger level on the mountain is high, according to the spiritual energy concentration test. It is a sane decision to close off the mountain and declare it a new contamination zone. The head of the association called for Su Qingying, despite knowing she was working on another mission. Then, he demanded Qingying to elaborate on the current situation, to which she explained that ascending Mount Yuhuang was impossible because the thunder energy had reached the threshold of an explosion. The area had been classified as an A-level contamination zone. Furthermore, she explained that the indicators showed the mountain might qualify for an S-level classification within the next hour, and they would have to execute the emergency plan right away. From the previous reports of the explorers' data, there had been no explorer capable of approaching this area, including herself. Not only that, but even Guifu-level explorers with 3-star calculations couldn't survive it. Another member suggested that they should seal off the mountain right away and send out some staff to prevent anyone from climbing it. Agreeing with the idea, the head wanted the threat to be ended. Since the contaminated zone had just formed and the spiritual energy was still climbing upwards, it was sealed off to the public. On the other hand, the thunderstorms were getting way out of hand, but that didn't stop our boy, as he felt lucky to have the Jin-Yang breathing technique. Still, he was aware that it was not enough to extract the purest thunder energy, so he made his way to the center of the storm, at the peak of the mountain. What he thought was that the return of spiritual energy had been beneficial for humanity because it reversed the food chain and humans fell to the bottom. If they didn't do anything to improve, they would be devoured. It wasn't just the changes of nature that were lethal, but even a mere harmless rabbit could evolve to become a threat to humans. The future held even more catastrophic events, which would make practitioners question their power. Feng Yi knew that mastering the Jin-Yang breathing technique and the flaming sword style didn't even come close to what he wanted to achieve. He had spent his points to flourish these properties into his Tang sword, but his goal was to become stronger, and not just rely on his weapon. Looking at the thunder energy, he assured himself that this was the best way to temper his body once again. He was aware that he needed to keep finding opportunities whenever some transformation occurred in heaven and earth. That wasn't even an option but a necessity, or else he would be engulfed by the disasters. Hurriedly he made his way up the mountain, struggling because of the tough environment. This extreme thunder property was originally a savage divine force. The energy, out of anger at his trespassing into its domain, was keeping him under extreme force and pressure, wanting him to kneel. He was still amidst the thoughts of how to make this energy submit to him. So, he took a moment to think rationally about what the system had told him, to touch the energy itself. Reaching the peak of the mountain, he cracked the code and inserted his weapon into the mountain. A large amount of energy burst out, and he could feel the shock through his entire being. He spat out blood and knew that he needed to endure this until he reached the summit ahead, which would force him to face death so he could gain a chance at life. The energy was so immense that even breathing felt like an algebra test. Our boy knew that he could be killed, but his eyes glowed as he tried to stand against the energy. Suddenly, his notification panel popped up, detecting a thunder attribute. Meanwhile, people back in the city were going insane looking at the lightning, as it was something they had never witnessed before. They chatted about a higher-level deity undergoing a lightning trial, as the shadow of a person appeared in the sky. Back to our main lead, who endured the energy, the panel popped up with, Feng Yi has obtained divine thunder power. He was instructed to summon the heavenly lightning and temper his body in divine fire to become godlike. Basically, the thunder attribute was an important power, with the properties of destructive offense. It could also refine the body and transform it into lightning. Whether for attack or defense, it was a ferocious force. Back in the day, they used to say that practitioners absorbed lightning into their bodies when spiritual energy was abundant, and techniques were profound for a long time. Their bodies became tough and indestructible. With motivation, he affirmed that his new attribute was both his spear and shield. He realized that thunder power was more about purification and rebirth, rather than destruction and annihilation. Our hero felt the surge of energy running through his body, tempering his bones and every muscle, strengthening his entire being without any pain. The notification panel indicated that this power was supposed to be judgmental, to punish all evil and corruption. It also asked him if he wanted to consume his writing points. He wondered if he should merge this attribute into Tang's sword too, which could make it sturdier, but make the sun attribute less pure. Not just that, but the sword could also be damaged. So, he decided to implant it into his right hand. His notification panel questioned if he wanted to infuse it, and he accepted it. Within a moment, all the thunder energy went right into his palm. The next day, at Yuhuang Mountain, Su Qingying was seen with Captain Han. She addressed that the situation was not as expected, and that the energy concentration had dropped from peak level to mild contamination in just a few hours. Still, there was some electric charge in the air, which was probably just residue. Captain Han realized that someone had been there before them, a seeker. Qingying acted shocked, wondering who it could be. She rubbed the stone, but she couldn't find any traces of our hero because the rain had washed away all signs the previous night. Captain Han affirmed that the event began around 6 p.m., and they sealed off the mountain at 7 p.m., so it could be that he went before the closure because there was no way he could have gone undetected. The mountain experienced the strongest thunderstorm at around 7 according to the instruments of the association, and according to the forecast, the contamination level would have reached grade S by dawn. but after 8 p.m. it just dropped. Captain Han concluded that this person might have thunder-related power, which was why it was easy for him to endure the lightning punishment, and this event turned out to be a golden opportunity for him. The only question was whether he stumbled upon this opportunity or went out of his way to be with heaven and earth, a step ahead of them. Captain Han saw him as a threat because he still didn't know what side our boy belonged to, so they needed to find him as quickly as possible before he posed a threat to them. Meanwhile, our poor MC fell ill due to being out in the thunderstorm, while they were naming him the Tyrant as his code name for the time being. At the mountain, the head hopes that they can recruit the Tyrant soon, along with their efforts to try to reach out to him. Turning to Su Qingying, the head orders her to submit her report to Captain Han instead. Maintaining her composure, she explains that he's the same person who purified the North Gate area of Qingcheng University. No matter how hard she tries, he turns out to be far more mysterious. But she assures them that she will try to find out how he managed to purify Qingcheng University's gate all by himself. Being true to her word, Su Qingying made half of the story up, as she doesn't know if this is true or not. Captain Han is impressed by her investigation, and she promises to keep working hard. Then, Captain Han turns to the head, informing them that they will be releasing fake news about the natural disasters. Meanwhile, Su Qingying sighs with relief. At Fang Yi's home, he uses his solar attribute for some of his chores. He feels his right hand is incredibly powerful compared to the rest of his body after undergoing the transformation. Our protagonist is sure that he's about to undergo another breakthrough. What came to him as a surprise was that the thunder attribute, despite being violent, is now like a small pet, easy to control. Compared to the solar attribute, which was extremely painful when he first activated it, the thunder power feels as though it has been weakened after his body absorbed it. His system shows that the thunder attribute deals 300% critical damage to evil anomalous entities. As he is about to test it out, his phone begins to ring. He turns back to see some breaking news. The Jia country issues emergency warnings, but they always hold opportunities for our boy. So, no matter what it takes, he's going to gamble his life and try it. Suddenly he sees the news of an explosion at a chemical factory. The only cause, according to the news, was environmental pollution. Our hero feels a sinister cold smell, and it feels familiar. It pops into his mind that in his previous life there was a terrifying monster, and he had hidden behind a huge rock, trying not to move. It appeared in the darkness of the night. The strange thing is, it could be either a plant or an animal, and once they gain intelligence, their power becomes highly leveled in every aspect. Making up his mind, he decides to hunt it down before it transforms further into a worse creature. Gathering his thunder energy in his right hand, he wants to put his new attribute into action. Meanwhile, at the headquarters, the extermination team has lost track of the anomaly Candlelight Night from file number 7, which is known for hiding itself in shadows too well. But they do realize that the weather is suitable for it to begin its hunt, which they must prevent. Back at the headquarters, the additional file for the anomaly has been uploaded, and the extermination campaign is expected to be completed within 12 hours. The team is advised to save themselves first. Every other thing is secondary. The Team Rogers, Xia, being a large country, comes with its own losses, as the mutation spreads fast and wide. The team gets warned that the area they are about to enter has members of the Spiritual Energy Association. Su Xingying can be messaged to assist them temporarily, and the team agrees. Though she is surprised to find that she is quite famous and popular, the team runs to her, begging her for help, explaining that the anomaly they are dealing with eats humans. She's unimpressed, as this is no way to ask for help. Su Xingying begins to leave after she disapproves of his tone, but he stops her, apologizing for the words he used, and pleads with her to help him find the anomaly. He begs, saying that he doesn't care about being eaten by it, but the innocent civilians will have to face the same fate. While it pours heavily, the newly formed team stands on the edge of the building and locate the beast they have been finding. As soon as they locate it, they speedily go there. The monster is named as Ju Yi, and amongst its hobbies, there's one that's concerning: eating humans. The team forms a plan and begins the operation. The beast notices their presence and begins to act accordingly, but soon enough, it gets encircled by the team. With the signal given, they all attack it at once. The monster screeches and makes a cracking sound. Hearing that, Su Qingying yells to beware of the sound waves. Despite being more in numbers, the monster seems a bit troublesome. The commander realizes that the monster is extremely powerful, and if they hadn't retreated, they would have been crushed to death. He knows that the monster can't be left alone to roam the city, or it will cause a commotion. Then, the monster takes a deep breath, and when it releases the air, it is green, likely to be poisonous. Su Qingying realizes that the monster is trying to escape by digging underground, but a team member halts her, saying that they don't have enough high-level counteractive forces. On the other hand, the commander announces that their primary mission is to gather intel and direct battle plan adjustments. Ju Yi, kicking off one of the teammates, tries to make an escape. The commander runs behind it to catch and display it off. At the top of the building, three cloaked figures notice a concentration being spiked in the spiritual energy. One of them decides to go inside while the two stay outside. Back at our Qing team, Qing Ying assesses the spiritual energy concentration in the abandoned factory using an exhilarate device, which shows the maximum energy concentration of a single team. Her jaw dropped when the concentration of the monster went from 48 to 80, increasing in numbers wildly. She is sure that the place contains more than just one anomaly. Suddenly, a monster appears before them in the form of a huge snake. That's when they realize that they have been lured in by Ju Yi. They need to fall back as soon as they can. Panicking, they head for the gate, and even if it tries to stop them, they can combine their strength and reopen the gate. While running for their lives, Qing Ying feels the poison spread all throughout her body, and suddenly she falls on the ground. She can't notice them around her, nor feel them being near her, unable to get a response as well. She panics a little, remembering how that damned creature tricked them into getting here. Although she senses that this is another layer of another anomaly, Su Jingying feels the black mist around her to be toxic, likely to be poisoned by it. The gas is lethal, as it is making them numb and depleting their spiritual energy. So, any attacks having spiritual energy will exhaust them, leading them to be a meal for the monsters. Even Su Qingying's energy is almost ending, and as much as she's scared, she can't help but acknowledge the intelligence and strength of it, through which it sets a maze too. Exhausted, Su Jingying collapses, thinking no hope is left for her. But a ray of hope emerges for her, entering the factory by breaking the wall. It's no one other than our hero, Fang Yi. He jumps in and notices that the monster is of the darkness kind. Seeing our boy, the monstrous snake screams with his fangs, looking disastrous. Not just that, Ju Yi shows up too, and they both attack Fang Yi simultaneously. The pair is clever. One traps and one handles the killing, so he uses his attributes for one each. Thunder for Ju Yi and solar for the snake, as the snake is scared of heat and fire. The MC takes out his sword, full of solar kind energy. With incredible force, the MC chops down the body of the snake in half. Thinking he's done with it, he begins to settle with his sword. But he didn't expect it to heal that quickly and join back into one piece. However, our boy is smart, as he prepared a follow-up move. He electrocutes the snake through his thunder energy. Earlier, he sensed that the dark aura of this monster was denser than Ju Yi's aura. So, he willed his sword and unleashed the power of eternal flame by controlling the force and retracting it. Then, by using his sword as a carrier, he condensed and channeled his thunder energy from his hand into the body of the snake. Ju Yi is scary, but at most, it can harm one or two humans, and its power is weaker than the snake. Suddenly, he feels something painful on his shoulder. It's a snake scale. It was a sneaky attack, and its poison carries a paralyzing effect that kills silently within an hour. Then, using his solar energy, he heals his wound. He feels pain, but that's because of the continuous flow of the golden sun breathing technique in his body. The good thing is, the yang flame can dissolve poison. The golden sun breathing technique protects and heals, and the thunder attribute purifies. His attributes warn him of incoming attacks. He narrates that the snake grew to this size stealthily and relied on ambush predation, and with its partner Ju Yi, it's a perfect trap for pioneers. It's possible that they have engulfed the lives of many of them. But finally, our boy has burned the monster to ash. He acknowledges his own energies to be powerful, but the thunder energy really steals the show. He stands by the flames and senses someone still being there. Hearing some coughs, Fang Yi looks for the person and realizes that there's someone stuck. When the air clears a bit, he sees that it's Su Qingying, who pretends to have fainted. Of course, our boy isn't some high school level stupid guy and catches her in the act. She acts embarrassed, explaining nervously that she woke up from the smell of the smoke. Hearing that, the protagonist praises her shielding skills, because the rest of her teammates have passed out. Getting a compliment, she stutters, as she did keep a small chunk of spiritual energy to guard herself. Pretty surprised, she can't believe that he alone took out both of the monsters. She had her eyes covered, so he trusts her, but he makes her promise not to reveal his ID. His tone indicated how friendly he was this time, and with that, he leaves, so he stays unnoticed. A while earlier, we noticed the MC standing in front of the flames. What he did was absorb the dark attribute. He felt some coldness, and it was a disturbing experience for him. It could be because his body instinctively rejected the dark spiritual energy, and his system didn't respond either. Back in the factory, the people have woken up and see the monsters burned down to crisp. They panic, wondering where the yang attribute came from. Qingying explains that a pioneer came to help them. She's still unsuccessful in her mission of getting his identity. While looking around the place, the commander wonders where the corpse of Candle Knight is. Not finding it, they begin to clean up, and suddenly he steps over something, which releases some electrical charge. It was the corpse of Candle Knight. That leaves them all wondering if it was just one person or two. Su Jingying wants to explain that it was just one person, but nobody would believe her. A dual attribute carrying pioneer sounds straight out of a movie. Fang Yi is a monster himself. Su Jingying thinks to herself that it was a wise decision to keep some members outside the factory, In case she was inside for too long, the organization would be reported. The organization sent a reconnaissance team to the site, thinking they would be collecting corpses. Meanwhile, the team members cry while holding Qing Ying because they thought she had made her way back to Jesus. The reconnaissance team is now scanning residual spiritual energy and analyzing the traces to reconstruct the battle. They report that the comparison through the traces shows that both anomalies were killed by the same person, which shocks the commander, but of course Qing Ying already knew about it. She calls the organization to report the data she collected to the higher-ups. She informs the head, who understands the situation but tells her to hold her mission for now, because this entire thing just showed that the protagonist is not their enemy, since he managed to save her as well while eliminating the anomalies. But she has some more data that she saw over the tyrant. The head gets curious, to which she elaborates that she sensed an incredibly strong aura in the area where he was active, which made her think that he might have a spiritual weapon. She is sure that he would have taken help from outside to acquire a spiritual weapon. Qing Ying also informs him that she sensed the yang attribute from the weapon. The head senses that the protagonist could be a spirit creation realm cultivator. This comes as a shock to Qing Ying, as these cultivators are extremely rare. Because if this person possesses 3 attributes at the same time, it would shake the entire pioneer community. According to some research, it is nearly impossible to have 3 attributes in a human body because they cannot coexist. As of now, there has been no pioneer that has been confirmed to have 3 attributes, so all they can hope is that he does not become an enemy of humanity. Back to our boy, who is taking a shower while he thinks about how anomalies and catastrophic events are everywhere despite the fact that the spiritual energy revival year has not even started. He knows many pioneers have started to cultivate on their own, even without the interference of the government. Many have reached 1-star ghost realm on their own. He also noticed that official and wild pioneers are in a peaceful phase of mutual exploration. Also, the anomalies are still controllable, and there has not been a deadly conflict among pioneers yet. Still, the government has not made the Spiritual Energy Cultivation Association public yet. Everyone is talking about how strange events are erupting, and the government is trying its best to protect humanity while it issues early warnings. Yet, the government is not fully confident in launching a full-scale cultivation era. The reason behind that is chaos will erupt and order will collapse, while internal and external threats will make the collapse speedy. To him, the government is doing a good job because human hearts are more corrupt than ghosts and beasts. The only thing worrying him is the quick development of anomalies. What he encountered previously was a typical mutated product of dark attribute contamination. He could feel that it belonged to a sub-branch of the dark attribute, which is known as the shadow attribute. Fang Yi does realize that these enemies are more intelligent than some beasts, and they prefer feeding on pioneer bodies, as it brings a great nutritional source to them, so they use their intelligence to trap pioneers. Still, the ones he has battled are nearly not the same as the ones he saw in his past life, as the previous ones used to be strong enough to even wipe out a whole continent. He is glad that he could find out about the anomalies today, or else the squad would not have survived. The energy that was in the anomaly he saw today was so dark that he felt disgusted by it, realizing the threat that they bring. His system labeled it as temporarily unabsorbable, leaving him with the question, if the conditions are met with the system, would he be able to absorb it? He has 3 good attributes, with some corresponding techniques that suit him, and at his current level, there might be only a few pioneers that can be his rival. Still, he has to push his limits. Suddenly his phone rings, and it is his auntie calling him. He picks it up, and she informs him that his cousin is coming to study, so she wants him to keep her for a few days at his place. Fang Yi is shocked at the sudden self-invitation, and all he remembers about her is being a nerd. He accepts it and assures her that he has a spare room where she can stay. The auntie also informs him that she will be coming to stay the next day. On the other hand, a girl with a teddy cloak is seen to be on her PC, reading news about the town Fang lives in. It turns out to be his cousin. She turns to her mother, MC's auntie, saying she does not want to bother him, but the auntie trusts Fang Yi and insists on her staying with him. She pushes her mum out of the room, thinking that her cousin cannot be harder to handle than an anomaly. The next day, carrying her suitcase, his cousin arrives at the location where Fang Yi lives. The MC approached his cousin, Lin Yi, barely able to remember what she even looked like. After they both settled down, he attempted some small talk, but quickly wrapped it up by telling her that if she ever needed him, she could simply give him a call. He handed her a spare key, certain that she wouldn't meddle in his business. Still, he couldn't shake the odd feeling that she wasn't very good at hiding things. There was a strange aura around her, and he couldn't help but wonder if she was also one of the awakened beings. Meanwhile, Lin Yi sat on her phone, speaking to a group of mysterious people. She wasn't planning to start her training right away, because if her cousin discovered it, that could cause unnecessary trouble for her. A few days later, Fang Yi realized that training with his cousin staying at his place was more of a hassle than he had expected. His meditation sessions were easily interrupted, and only now did he become aware of how flashy his golden breathing technique actually appeared from the outside. On top of that, Lin Yi was cooking delicious meals and keeping the entire place tidy. He didn't stop her from doing any of this. After all, he wanted her to feel comfortable around him. But more importantly, he wanted to see her true personality come through. One evening while they were eating together, Lin Yi's phone rang, and Fang Yi politely gave her space to take the call. On the other end, someone informed her that the Great Earth and Sky Change would take place the very next day, right at the entrance of Yanghu Town. From the window, Fang Yi secretly spied on her, realizing to his shock that his cousin was indeed an awakened being. With her current level, she couldn't possibly detect his presence. He was stunned to find that even though she was still in high school, she had already reached the 2-star Gui Fu level and was on the verge of breaking through to 3-star. The whole summer camp excuse she had given was nothing but a lie. The true reason she had come here was because of the great change. But that didn't bother Fang Yi too much, because this was also an opportunity for him, one he could use to boost his own energy. He couldn't help but wonder what the properties of this mysterious event in Yanghu might turn out to be. On the other hand, Lin Yi couldn't shake the eerie feeling that someone was secretly watching her. The following day, at Yanghu Town, Yi reunited with her friends. One of them teasingly asked if her cousin was a smash or a pass. Yi laughed it off, saying he was simply a good person, though rather average in looks. The other friend, an 81-year-old widow who, despite her age, still looked stunningly attractive, remarked that Yi had always thought of herself as ordinary too. As the group gathered, a boy sitting on a bench urged them to proceed further. Yi noticed that one woman from their circle hadn't arrived yet, but even so, the rest of them moved on without her. At the same time, Fang Yi observed how Yi's team deliberately kept a low profile. The weakest among them was already at the 2-star Gui Fu level, while their strongest member often seemed to disappear mysteriously from the group. Then, seemingly out of nowhere, a massive vine appeared in the middle of the tourist town. Fang Yi had seen these strange beanstalks sprout randomly in different areas around Yanghu before, never knowing the reason behind their sudden emergence. Just as quickly as it appeared, it vanished again, without causing any real commotion. The team eventually reached the location, and everyone was visibly shaken at the sight before them. A girl in a cap immediately warned the others not to approach the strange vine, saying she could sense that something was seriously wrong with it. She explained that a friend of hers, someone whose awakened energy was far stronger than theirs, had once touched a similar vine, only to vanish from the face of the earth entirely. She didn't want to risk ending up with a death so meaningless that she couldn't even have a proper burial. With a shaky terror, she explains that the moment she saw the beanstalk, she felt a shiver in her bones, and her intuition told her that the transformation would occur on an extremely high level. At the last moment, she withdrew from the plan. The widow and Yi assure her that all of them felt the same way, because the wood attribute carries a sense of ruins. It feels as though every life has been lost upon looking at it. This is the reason for their anxiety, as it seems to want to swallow their vitality. Still, Yi motivates her by reminding her that this is the path of pioneers in martial arts. Far away, our protagonist stands, gazing at the beanstalk, and he feels the same aura radiating from it. Despite having witnessed many events, these vines give him the most eerie feeling, second only to the darkness attribute. He acknowledges the courage required to train here. Reflecting inwardly, he observes that these plants give off an aura of lifelessness, even though plants are supposed to embody the flow of life. Yi stands upon a large stone, declaring that danger lies ahead of them. Therefore, they will remain here and sense the energy. She instructs them to move only within sight and not too far away, for this way they can protect one another. Having said that, she forms an aura around herself and begins sensing. Meanwhile, Fang Yi monitors them, watching how vigilant they remain while training at a safe distance. He feels impressed by his cousin, who, being a nerd, had calculated the most optimal spot. He wonders if she will advance to the start since she has already reached the threshold of the 3rd star. Everyone, including our boy, is impressed by Yi's talent. Suddenly, one of the team members notices that the vines are moving toward them, and they all begin to run for their lives. Yet, even from a distance, the vines are able to catch hold of the teammates. It turns out that the protagonist's cousin's breakthrough created a great deal of noise. They remind each other not to let these vines coil around them, for if they do, their aura will be ruined immediately. The widow refuses to leave Yi in danger, but the girl wearing a cap argues that there is nothing she can do, since Yi herself acted irresponsibly. Another guy also tells the widow that if they do not leave right now, they will all be buried along with Yi. Hearing that, the widow slaps the man and screams that she will not abandon her companion. Fang Yi thinks that Yi is probably unaware of the danger she is truly in, for she is still a young girl, and the power of these vines would be terrifying for her. Although he does not know if his current strength will be enough to save her, he makes a choice, because he promised his aunt that he would take care of her daughter. As a man, he chooses not to break his promise. Even the widow begins to be wrapped by the coils of the vines. But at last, our boy arrives to save his cousin. With his incredible power, the vines immediately retreat. The teammates cannot believe the strength of the pioneer, whose pure yang attribute manages to suppress the vines. One guy wonders how little his own power seems in comparison to this extraordinary pioneer's might, which crushes the strength of all others. Once again, Fang Yi appears like a monster disguised as a human. His system reveals the maximum wood attribute, which possesses the property of unending life, enabling him to absorb all surrounding vitality and quickly restore physical injuries. He feels the vital energy flowing inside him as long as there is life nearby. The system also informs him about his desolation attribute, which can instantly unleash desolate aura, which would also kill all the surrounding life force. He realizes that the vine chose the perfect spot to grow, because if it grew somewhere else, it might have taken away life from miles away, and ponders upon the tyrannical nature of this attribute. The widow walks up to him to show her gratitude, or else they would have died. He bids farewell to her, knowing he's the one who benefited the most out of this situation. Our protagonist shows care for his cousin, hoping she sees the real faces of the ones who she called companions. The companions feel regretful for not helping her earlier. The guy suggests staying in the team since Yi Yi has advanced to the 3rd level. Then, Yi Yi wakes up, and the man is sure that Yi Yi would make the rational decision of staying with them because she can't afford to fall out with them yet. Looking at her surroundings, Yi Yi wonders what just happened, and her focus shifts to a piece of yang energy, which has incredibly dense intensity. The guy begins to explain what happened, while the widow gives him a deathly side-eye. Later, Yi Yi gets back to our protagonist's apartment, thinking about the mysterious guy who just saved all of them. The force of the guy was so incredibly strong that the vine started avoiding everyone. Then, Yi Yi enters the apartment, and her cousin is already there, who notices that she looks pale. She excuses herself, saying that she's tired from all the studying. He advises her to rest while he will order some food for them. When she enters her room, she feels exhausted and sits against the door, because a breakthrough is way more mentally exhausting than staying up at nights for an entire month. Yi Yi lays down on her bed, knowing that she'll be okay soon, as it's written in her fate to be like that. She's just sad that she can't have a normal life like Fang Yi's. As she's on her phone, she gets a notification from Galen, asking if there is any info on the powerhouse again. She should let her know. She is astonished because this is the first time Galen has ever talked in the group chat. Meanwhile, the news is filled with stories about the mysterious man, the tyrant, who manages to save people from a tragedy at times. Our boy makes his way outside. He is confident that his cousin will feel more comfortable around him. He makes his way out to test out his desolation tribute, which leans closer to plant-type entities. Despite being closer to plants, it still is a sinister attribute, and putting it in his body directly might result in negative effects. It can also bring about a conflict with his thunder attribute in his hand. He decides to use something like a ghost vine, and the reason that the vine dropped from the sky is because it could sense the dense spiritual energy revival. Evolving on its own was what formed the desolation attribute. The protagonist knows the perfect place where he could practice his new attribute and makes his way there. After a while, he reaches City Forest Park and decides to choose a plant that resonates the most with his spiritual energy. He uses his energy to test out which one would be the perfect fit for him, and suddenly a flower grabs his attention. When he touches the floor, it wraps itself around his finger. Observing the nature of the flower, he notices that the flower acts greedy towards the spiritual energy. He chooses that flower to be his perfect candidate. Then, preparing himself, he embeds the desolation attribute into the flower, and everything around him glows. After he embeds his attribute into the flower, he notices that in just 3 seconds the floor drains the entire ring of the city forest, and it is still spreading like a virus. He quickly pulls out the flower, worried that he will attract the Spirit Chi Association, since the city center is bound to draw attention. Feng Yi notices the surroundings have become strangely deserted, with no visitors in sight. He looks at the flower in his hand, which is still absorbing without roots, though not as much as before. Surprised that the spirituality of the flower hasn't weakened, he watches as the plant begins to evolve after gaining the attribute. The surveillance camera catches sight of him, and he decides to flee. Back at headquarters, everyone is shocked as abnormal values spike out of control, and they rush to the park, ordering it to be completely sealed off to the public. When they arrive, they check their wristbands and see that the fluctuation is around 30, a terrifying figure. Normally, when an anomaly surpasses 10, the military takes over, but the park's concentration has never even passed 10 before. Now it suddenly reads 30. The team realizes the life force was drained in just a few seconds, leaving them to wonder what attribute could cause this. An old team member screams not to touch it, warning that it is the desolation attribute, already classified as an A-level mutation. A trainee thanks his teacher for stopping him, admitting that otherwise, he would have been barbecued. They then discuss another desolation plant in their country that polluted an entire forest, piercing through anything that approached it. They agree that plant mutations cannot be underestimated, and that for now, the strongest attribute is the desolation attribute. Suddenly Major Han arrives, ordering all researchers to follow him into the contamination zone. Even after hours of searching, no desolation source is detected. They monitor the readings on their wristbands and see that within 5 minutes the concentration has dropped to 25. Major Han, accompanied by Qingying, uses his energy alongside hers to locate the source, only to find it has already been dug out. The situation raises great suspicion, but Qingying assures everyone that there is no trace of a top-level cultivator's spirit power here. Major Han then informs Qingying that they have found a man likely to be the suspect. He tells her that all his information will be sent to her, and how they proceed will be handled by her association. Meanwhile, at Fang Yi's home, he is happy to finally have a flower pot. He speaks to the flower, calling it his companion, someone he can rely on. Confidently, he tells himself that his cousin won't suspect the flower too much. Suddenly his phone rings. It's his childhood friend Old Wang. His name is Wang Liang, his neighbor from elementary to middle school, and also his former desk partner. Wang Liang had left to join the army, but today he calls to say he's back, and the two decide to meet up for drinks. Old Wang laughs nervously, saying he has a secret to tell. When the call ends, Wang Liang is revealed to be with Qingying and his superior. Ordered to contact Fang Yi, Wang Liang remains skeptical, asking that his own safety not be compromised. Sharing the drinks with Wang Liang, Fang Yi has realized how mature his friend has become after the army. In his past life, Fang Yi never got to see Wang Liang again in those chaotic times. He assumes that his friend most likely died in some random battle, but he now wonders if he can change the future of his friend and save him. Suddenly, Wang Liang asks his friend if he knows anything about zombies and monsters. It's not the question that feels strange to our boy, because knowing about the revival of spiritual energy is normal for army people, but the tone of his question makes him wonder if he's being probed. Our hero pretends to not know anything to his friend, and so Wang Liang starts telling him that in a few months or a year, none of his wealth or diplomas will matter. He knows that the soldiers will be silenced and forbidden to leak any information about the revival of spiritual energy, which makes him certain that he's already a suspected target by the military, and Wang Liang, taking advantage of their friendship, is sent to test him. Our hero's friend assures him that he'll be fine as long as he doesn't leak the information he has just received. Suddenly Wang Liang's phone starts ringing. He picks it up, and his higher-ups hurry him to the target location in an emergency. He starts to run in a hurry and tells his friend to head back. Knowing that this was about the revival of spiritual energy, he asks to come along. Wang Liang is shocked to see when Fang Yi reveals that he knows this meeting was set up by his higher-ups. However, our hero assures his friends that he trusts him and knows he won't harm him. But the truth is, our boy wants to know what if whatever the army is handling is connected to the changes in heaven and earth. But the Spiritual Energy Association already deals with the anomalies, which makes him wonder what the army could be responsible for now. So to find out the truth, our hero heads to the military Spiritual Energy Restricted Zone 19. As he enters the zone, he feels the dense spiritual energy with concentration beyond a polluted zone. As the two friends walk in, they see an explosion, and the soldiers trying to handle a ferocious beast. The beast starts to attack the soldiers, leaving our hero surprised. Fang Yi is surprised to see the fusion attribute. Officer Jilan explains that the abnormal fusion of darkness and flame has made the hound violent and brutal. Then, she orders him to head to his target position and form the battle line. Officer Jilan recognizes Fang Yi, but she doesn't find him special and finds his spiritual energy only slightly active, which makes her wonder if he's not the one. She then calls Zhang Mi and Li Yu. The two attack the beast with their might while Jilan uses her weapon to land a blow. Amidst its growing mutation, Li Yu stands right in the open. The hound leaps towards the vulnerable soldier, but Officer Jilan pushes him away with her rifle. She reminds them to not underestimate the monster and finish it before it reaches peak evolution. Our hero finds teamwork and unity quite impressive. He's amazed by how, by working together, they could unleash power beyond what anyone can imagine individually. Suddenly, something triggers horrors for our hero, and he screams at the soldiers to watch out. The hound starts to evolve again. Jilan orders the soldiers to raise the alert level, increase the mutation grade of the restricted zone, and forbid anyone from retreating. The hound, now fully evolved with its mutation, hovers over Wang Liang, looking down on him with its sharp fangs and fiery eyes. The hound has fully fused with the darkness attribute, and underneath the ferocious beast stands Wang Liang. Suddenly, the beast attacks our hero's friend. Jilan reports the incident and reclassifies the monster from C level to B level and updates their combat plan. Wang Liang, bleeding everywhere, falls into Fang Yi's arms. Wang Liang tells his friend he just infused spiritual energy into the collar, but then got the backlash. Seeing his friend bleed out in his arms, our hero is left speechless. Officer Jilan gathers her soldiers and motivates them to keep the variant in the restricted zone at all costs and by any means. Suddenly, she notices Fang Yi charging with his formation and willingness to sacrifice. So Jilan is surprised to see Fang Yi do this alone. She knows that he has the most extreme form of the lightning attribute, and in the current Xia Nation, our hero's power is already unmatched. which makes her wonder what he'd be like once the spiritual energy fully revives. Our hero charges his lightning attribute, and suddenly, a huge lightning bolt comes crashing down from the sky. Seeing Fang Yi effortlessly take down the beast they were struggling with even with so much manpower makes it clear that he is worthy of the title of tyrant, and seeing his lightning strike down makes them realize that sometimes, light can be more terrifying than the darkness. After our boy defeats the beast, Wang Liang runs towards his friend. After a little banter, he apologizes to our hero for dragging him in. While the two friends check up on each other, Officer Jilan walks up to Fang Yi and thanks him for his help and asks for his contact info. She tells our hero that his strength far exceeds many of the forerunners recruited by the army, which makes her want to invite him to the Shia Nation's army. However, she's just a zone guard officer, and her invitation isn't enough. Jilan finds it shocking that our boy's realm should be Ghost Axe Stage 3, and yet he has reached or even surpassed the level of a spirit-forming venerable. Jilan doesn't find herself worthy enough to invite our hero into the army. She tells him that they were only working on the orders of the higher-ups to understand him, not drag him in. However, she thinks that the higher-ups will personally come to invite him. Fang Yi tells the officer that he has never looked down on soldiers, and if anything, he's impressed by their courage and sacrifices, and just seeing them fight together touched him. He offers to help them whenever needed as a thank you, but only on the condition that it doesn't restrict him. Our protagonist finally understands the role of the military. He now realizes that the army is stationed in spiritually dense, dangerous zones, firstly to train in abundant energy to ensure combat strength, but also to draw a line between the ordinary people and anomalies. Meanwhile, Jilan is also left with the realization that there's nothing simple about this person, and today was just a fraction of his strength. She's also aware that even that fraction of power is enough to leave everyone behind, and this level of power shows his unprecedented perception. Excited for his friend, Wang Liang offers to recruit Fang Yi if Jilan doesn't think of herself as worthy enough. But she then shows him the place and asks him to clean up the place. Meanwhile, our boy looks back on today's events. He exposed his identity, but he's glad that he only displayed his lightning attribute, which helped him learn that it's an extremely rare attribute, and with its power over darkness, the military is eager to get it. However, he also knows that the military won't suppress or threaten him. They'll instead give him influence, the fastest path to power, and advanced channels of information. Today's events also finally helped our hero understand the division of functions between the Army and the Spiritual Energy Association. He now understands that the Army defends the nation like a shield, while the Spiritual Energy Association takes care of anything that pushes through the shields to ensure civilian safety. The authorities protect ordinary people with forbidden zones and signal the coming revival of spiritual energy, a twofold strategy. They're buying the people time so that the anomalies don't destroy or displace them right at the start. Fang Yi continues to channel his spiritual energy. The energy starts to surround him, and he finds the place worthy of being a spiritually rich forbidden zone from how even subduing desolation power didn't make him feel close to breaking through. After staying in this place for a while, he can feel spiritual energy overflowing in his body, signaling the imminent breakthrough. Meanwhile, our hero's cousin wonders if he has returned home yet to let him test her improved cooking. Suddenly, she notices a yellow light glowing in the distance, reaching out to the sky. She notices the fluctuation of advancing within the Ghost Axe stage, but the terrifying aura feels otherwise. She wonders if it could be that a forerunner is about to break through to the spirit-forming stage. The energy glow covers the whole sky, and as it moves, Lin Yi realizes that it's not the ghost soldier realm, and the powerful energy is actually the spirit creation realm. She's surprised that a powerful pioneer exists right beside her. Meanwhile, the military spirals into panic as their system reports anomaly level 99. Major Han orders all units to head to the place of the event in an emergency. Everyone wonders how a powerful anomaly that could destroy a city went undetected. The army wonders if this energy fluctuation is a new spirit creation realm pioneer's appearance, or something that's going to lead to the great disaster. Major Han requests the headquarters for support and calls for the deployment of all equipment aside from large-scale destructive weapons. Right in that moment, a soldier rushes in to inform the major that the anomaly was a pioneer breakthrough, and the alert is now lifted. On the other hand, our hero has reached the spirit creation realm, 1 star, but still the breakthrough only made him feel lighter without any noticeable difference. He then checks his phone and finds a text from Wang Liang, cautioning him to be careful because he's too strong. The attention could get disastrous, which is why he has kept his Sunflame attribute and Scarlet Flame sword skill hidden up until now. Yi finally reaches home, bringing food. At Fang Yi's request, she puts it down on the table and goes back to her room. She's annoyed by his laziness and how he does nothing besides using his phone. Yi lies down and thinks about how quickly the word will spread of a spirit creation realm master's appearance. However, all she can do is protect his cousin. Meanwhile, Fang Yi continues to watch the video and notices the fire spreading fast and the flames rising fiercely. Even then, He can see the situation being far worse than the North Gate anomaly, which makes him wonder how the Sun attribute case will differ. However, if he wants to check it out in person, he knows he has to contact Lee John. So, the next day, our hero visits Chingcheng University, the place of the incident. The reporters surround them, but the two just walk in without saying a word. As they pass through the gate, Lee John sees the fire and wonders if it's the heavenly fire. It is impossible to extinguish. While Lee John goes to the principal's office, our hero stays out. He walks into the incident and feels the burned floor run cold already without a trace of the heavenly fire's energy. Suddenly, his ex-girlfriend, Xu Qingli, calls him from behind. Her friend laughs at our hero and tells him to let go of any feelings he has for her. Qingli's friend tells our hero to not even think about the school beauty because she's way out of his league. Though, the ex remains quiet, thinking about how he had told her she'd regret breaking up. Suddenly, Li Jian walks in, asking Feng Yi about his friend. But our hero makes it clear that Qingli is nothing more than just a high school classmate. The two girls are suddenly terrified of Li Jian's presence. Li Jian explains to our boy that after talking to the principal, she realizes that the fire situation may be worse than they thought, and the principal wants them to check out the ignition points, and as a military-appointed advisor, she wants our hero to come too. Right then, the principal orders everyone to stay away from the playground at M. The principal greets our hero with a warm smile and tells him how grateful he is for his help with the incident. Seeing the principal respectfully bow before her ex leaves, Qingli is surprised. As the guards start to push away the students, the ex-girlfriend can't believe her eyes. She now realizes that Feng Yi is no longer an ordinary perception. Meanwhile, the crowd of students surrounds her, no longer believing that Feng Yi is her ex. If anything, they now believe that he never even acknowledged the girl they all considered the school beauty. The principal explains everything about how the incident started. He thought things were over after the golden sun at the college's north gate dissipated, but then, a few nights ago, a playground caught an uncontrollable fire. They controlled the scene in time before anyone was harmed, but then a second playground caught fire, and then the third. As the anomalies continued, the principal saw it with his own eyes. Flames falling from the sky and crimson fire hovering in midair. All the fires at the other playground were extinguished except for one. Our hero notices the burnt smell and sees the basketball hoop where the fire originally ignited. Li Jian takes out her anomalous spirit power detector that, if the number exceeds 10, means the ordinary people should be quarantined. Shockingly, the detector reveals the anomaly level at 60. Li Jian starts to panic as she realizes that a threat this big could affect the entire city. She starts to call for dispatch to form a resistance formation, and their spirit power must be pure. To their surprise, our hero jumps into the fire without any worry. As he jumps through the fence, the flames fully surround him. The commander's power detector reveals the threshold reaching 110, making the anomaly now an S-level threat. The commander is still amazed to see Feng Yi rush into the fire alone. Meanwhile, our boy heroically walks through the flames. He knows that if the Yang attribute shielded him from thunder the last time, it should protect him from the heavenly fire too. However, while it protects his body, it can't touch the primordial flame or activate the function of a composed technique, so he needs to get close to the flame. As our hero continues to walk through the fire, the flame dragon rushes into attack. Our hero extends his forward, stopping the dragon. He then releases the golden sun protection. As he holds the flame dragon, the system detects intense heavenly attribute fluctuations. The heavenly fire is wilder and stronger than the power of death's desolation, but our protagonist refuses to back off without absorbing it. The system starts composing and succeeds. The system announces that he now has obtained the heavenly fire attribute technique, the 9-dragon heavenly fire sealing technique. This purges evil and seals all wickedness. Having finally obtained the heavenly fire attribute, our hero controls the flame. The technique requires no training and is instantly available to use. Feng Yi extracts the heavenly fire attribute, and with the help of the 9-dragon heavenly fire sealing technique, he throws chains at the flame dragon. As the chains start to restrain the flame dragon, Li Jian recognizes the aura of the seal. She reveals that she once saw her senior military pioneers seal a restricted area, and although their method was different, the aura still seems similar. Our hero withdraws the chains as they restrain the fire. The seal finally completes, reducing the heavenly fire into a fireball. After restraining the fire, Feng Yi tells the principal to not unseal the playground, renovate it, or even allow anyone near it. The principal assures him that the playground will remain sealed. Our hero praises the school for having so many playgrounds, and then Li Jian asks to talk to him about something. She confronts our hero about hiding himself, but he pretends to play dumb. But then, Li Jian confronts him about his cultivation and hidden talents. However, she knows it's normal for pioneers to hide their talents. She reminds Feng Yi that in this critical time, top-tier talents like him are desperately needed for the Jia nation. The military restricted zones, the Spirit Q1 Association, and everyone else will try to recruit him. Lee John is well aware that the foreign powers might try to win him over with generous offers too. She urges him to consider before the time comes. She also reveals that the reason she thinks Fang Yi doesn't belong in her restricted zone is because of the legendary military district. They're powerful, and it makes sense to her that he might be more interested in them. However, Lee John has only heard rumors about it. Our hero realizes that there are terrifying anomalies beyond what the current pioneers can handle. From Lee John's tone, our boy thinks that the pioneers must be spirit-creating realm like him, or even stronger. He doesn't think he's prepared enough and wonders how to maximize the newly gained Heavenly Fire attribute. The Heavenly Fire has no pattern and rampages through everything. It's perfect for wiping out endlessly reproducing anomalies. Suddenly an idea occurs to Fang Yi. He realizes his new power is a perfect match for his Scarlet Fire Sword technique. Our hero journeys to the back mountain. But seeing the mountain blocked off, he realizes that someone knows he will be cultivating and experimenting at the back mountain. However, only the Aura Association knew about his habits, which means they gave him the whole area to experiment in, and he gladly accepted the gift. As Fang Yi continues to walk through the woods, he feels something sneaking up on him. He recognizes a weaker aura of the same thing he encountered in the factory before. The beast clings to the tree, observing his prey. Our hero realizes that it has gained intelligence and is trying to weigh his strength before deciding if he should attack. Our boy draws out his Scarlet Fire Sword to pair it with his Heavenly Flame attribute. As the sword glows with the never-extinguishing fire, our hero grows curious to know its effect. To test out his new powers, he swings the blade against the beast. The fire rushes toward it, but it runs away squeaking. He now realizes that the fire energy is now double that of his Scarlet Fire, and as he touches it, he realizes its energy has no effect on him. So he continues to chase the beast that was following him. Meanwhile, a girl streams her journey in the forest, trying to plead to her viewers. But as she turns around, the beast attacks her, and her phone drops on the ground. As the beast strangles the girl, her viewers still think it's fake. Suddenly the flames chase behind the beast, and it runs away. The girl's viewers finally get the drama, and her views start to soar. The fire starts to cover the whole forest. She grabs her phone and starts recording the scene. She screams as she realizes she saw someone walk through the fire and thinks it must be an immortal saving people. Suddenly our hero becomes the hot topic of the internet, and the news reaches his ex. At first they think it's just someone random, and Qingli denies the video's realism. But she's left speechless when she actually sees the video. She pretends to not believe the video, but deep down, she realizes it really is Fang Yi, and wonders if he will take this chance to get back at her. Meanwhile, Yi Yi and her friend see the video and find the person familiar to the one who saved them from vines. Yi Yi wonders if the great master that broke through the spirit realm near her was the same person. On the other hand, some people recognize our hero's blade stance through the video. On one hand, the Spirit Q1 Association is aware the military has already talked to Fang Yi, but Xiaosu is confident that he will help them. On the other hand, Li John sits in a meeting with the military, discussing our hero's true powers. Although they are well aware that recruiting him is the only way to achieve deterrence, the higher-ups refuse to lower themselves to approach him because all the previous forerunners came from the military. Major Han believes that Fang Yi still lacks newly developed weapons, equipment, and suitable cultivation. He orders Li John to take care of the leaked video because that has made him now the center of attention of the whole Xia Nation's spiritual community. However, some believe that the appearance of someone this strong has increased the chances of the teacher waking. Meanwhile, a day later, our hero sits relieved that his viral video has disappeared off the internet, thanks to either the military or the Aura Association. But then he notices that Lin Yi didn't come home all night and hasn't texted him. He starts to worry because Lin Yi isn't this irresponsible. He tries to call her, but her phone remains out of service, which makes him realize the seriousness of the situation. 81 and Lin Yi have been trapped in the forest long enough to lose track of time. 81 starts apologizing for dragging her friend into this. In this moment of weakness, Lin Yi feels powerless and wishes she was as strong as the pioneer she saw before. Suddenly, something jumps at Yi and her friend, but Yi quickly turns around and strikes the monster down. They notice the corpses of people trapped to death that have now come to haunt them in this black mist. The black mist not only makes the girls' attacks useless, but also continues to drain their spiritual energy. 81 is sure the mist is to exhaust and toy with them. Right then, a red ball appears before them, and it starts to split, creating more of it. Yi realizes that the mist is losing its patience. Suddenly, a red eye glows behind her, and soon enough, she's surrounded by red eyes. As the darkness creeps into her, Yi starts to regret her decisions that led to this outcome. Just as she is feeling hopeless that she is about to die an unnecessary death, our hero steps into the darkness to rescue the damsel in distress. Yi is surprised to see her cousin come to her rescue, realizing her cousin is no ordinary person. Suddenly, an anomaly appears behind her. Our hero draws out his sword, ready to test the heavenly fire against dark attributes. He swings his sword, covering everything in flames. Meanwhile, 81 wakes up and thinks she's in hell with the anomaly, but snaps into reality soon. She sees our hero in front of her, assuring her that everything's well. 81 cheers in excitement, recognizing him as the person who saved her from death vines in Yanghuo town. Yi Yi is surprised to learn that, but even more surprised is her friend when she realizes that the mediocre cousin isn't really mediocre. Yi Yi's friend tells her that her cousin is the one who cut down the wasteland in one strike and caught Galen's attention. At first, Yi Yi is confused, but then she realizes that the person who broke through to the spirit creation realm in her neighborhood was her cousin. Fang Yi accepts that it was all him, but he knows that the dark attribute anomaly isn't ordinary, so he wonders where their teammates are. 81 explains that Mao is ill and can't come since he kept missions secret from his family, and Uncle has tougher missions. Yi Yi also accepts that she underestimated the missions. Our hero remembers that these teammates all had their own agendas, and the squad won't last long. Since his cousin and Yi Yi already know about his identity now, he offers to form a team with them. 81 excitedly accepts and promises to keep it a secret. Yi Yi realizes that our hero must have already known about her and was protecting her silently. Right at that moment, Yi Yi receives another mission from Galen in the extreme dark zone. Yi Yi explains that it's located at the dark attribute border area strictly forbidden by Xia nations. The pioneers always avoid it because of the overwhelming dark powers, but it's also where the most anomalies come from. The authorities haven't explored the area deeply either due to some serious accidents. Curious to explore the area, our hero tells them to ask for the details, but 81 says that Galen probably wouldn't reply because of her mysterious nature. Seeing how the extreme dark zone is under strict guard by the Xia nation, and seeing Galen still being able to assign missions there, makes our boy think that she's either a rogue defying the authorities, or she's military or high-ranking in the association, and he thinks it's probably the unusual identity. Our hero asks for the details, and Galen replies that they need to collect lost marsh flowers. She adds that the reward in this mission is richer than before, but the extreme dark zone is full, so she cautions them to go in teams. Galen further adds that the mission might involve an S-class anomaly, so they should only sign up if they have strong and reliable pioneers. Our hero realizes that the strong and reliable pioneers part was to draw in people like him. He decides to try exploring the extreme dark zone. Galen walks away, knowing Xiaoguo wouldn't trust a wrong pioneer, and he might show up. But if he doesn't arrive, she is convinced that the fate isn't ready yet. Then, she asks the girls, if the mission to gather the losing tempering flower was designed to lead pioneers eventually to be killed. Both of them are speechless, because Galen is partially right about it. Furthermore, she elaborates that this is the inevitable path to preserve Xiaoguo's strength, and no matter what, they need to gather more and more losing tempering flowers. Her reason being, the only pioneer of Xiaoguo with Vajra realm must be healed and awakened with it. So, some lives of pioneers or groups being sacrificed for him would be alright as long as their biggest asset gets healed. The girl worries about Galen, but she snaps at her, but quick enough she apologizes. The other girl wonders if it was her headache which flared up, but deep down she knows she just wants to forget about her past. A memory hits her mind again, about her captain dying, as he hands her over the responsibility of the flower. She weeps, and the captain gave her all of his spiritual energy so she can make it back alive. On the other hand, our hero with his cousin and 81 have been walking for pretty long, and it's now getting exhausting. Soon after they reach the place, the extreme darkness zone. Our boy can feel an extreme dark aura emitting even though it's been layered with multiple checkpoints. It's not just him who feels it, it's also his cousin and 81. There were multiple pioneers except for just them. Yi Yi is sure that this is a bigger situation than just getting some big rewards. The dark attribute is toxic towards humans, and there has been an intrusion of multiple dark aura possessing anomalies. Fang Yi jumps into the conversation as he has dealt with 2 dark anomalies, and he found them extremely sharp, deliberately avoiding the city border military defenses. But now, it has gotten to the point that they can't control anomalies, causing massive destruction. With that said, the trio makes their way inside. As soon as they step in, Fang Yi sees an old companion, Su Qingying. When she sees him, she's surprised to see him with 2 other girls. She hopes and begs to her god that she goes unnoticed by him, but he recognizes her right away. 81 teases our boy, but Qingying shyly admits that she's just misunderstanding, and Fang Yi assures that she just helps him with some errands. Suddenly, a man steps out and yells that they all are disrespectful, to which 81 takes great offense. She tells him off to mind his own business because the tables can turn anytime. The transport arrives and Lan steps out. She then goes on to unlock the door with the crystal, and the door opens. Lan stands in front of the door, reminding them that the withered bloom must be whole and untainted by human blood. If it doesn't meet the standards, it will be disqualified and no awards will be given. And the twist is, they could probably die inside too. One of the members worries whether, if they die inside, any hefty amount will be given to their families. Qingying notices the middle-aged man, Old Deng, and the others, who seem to be hiding their aura from everyone else. The hero realizes that the pioneers gathered here are all elite pioneers. Meanwhile, Lan's assistant tells her about the number and levels of pioneers and the anomalies involved in this mission. Lan assures her that she has prepared everything. As they all walk inside, Feng Yi guides them to stay together, warning that the dark matter will scatter them and make them lose direction if they don't. The stench of rotting flesh makes 81 nauseous, and Qingying assures her that she's not the only one feeling it, pointing out other pioneers who are barfing. Qingying explains that the darkness attribute is considered pollution. Furthermore, she warns that in the extreme dark zone, anomalies are very active. B-class anomalies equal Axe Realm pioneers, A-class anomalies equal Spirit Forging Realm, and S-class anomalies rival Vajra Realm. 81 wonders how Qingying is not dying from the stench, but Qingying is already used to it because of her previous missions. Su Qingying has broken into an Axe 3-star realm, yet 81 notices that her aura drops the moment she steps into the black mist. They all decide to hurry and prioritize the mission. They agree to speak less now and focus on preserving their energy. Our boy thinks to himself that he feels fine, perhaps because the enchanted sun and lightning attributes repel the darkness, or maybe because his aura is just really strong since stepping into the spirit forging realm. Meanwhile, Old Dung is fighting anomalies while his teammates make their way to seize the withered bloom. Back with our team, Yi Yi coughs, and Fang Yi realizes she's still just a kid. He uses his attribute to make her feel better. She suddenly feels warm and relieved, leaving everyone in awe of how powerful the spirit forging realm is. She admits that the fire attribute made her feel better, but our boy corrects her, saying it's the sun attribute, and reveals that it was him back at Qingcheng University who balanced the anomaly there. He